This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Jay Kelly, the new film from Academy Award nominee Noah Baumbach. George Clooney stars as an actor confronting his past and present on a journey of self-discovery, alongside Adam Sandler as his devoted manager. Critics are calling it a declaration of love to the chaotic art of filmmaking, with the Wall Street Journal praising it as a transcendent comedy drama. Jay Kelly is now playing only on Netflix.
Hey, this is William Tincup, and you are listening and hopefully watching the You Should Know podcast. We have Heidi on today from Indeed. Heidi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You are great. Done. Good show. See how that worked?
Yeah.
Done. You are great. So, I obviously in the lead I said that you work for Indeed. What do you do for Indeed?
So for the past, I work in product management. My title is Senior Director of Product Management. But what that actually means is over the past year, I've been developing our employer agent suite. So many of you have probably heard the term AI agent.
Right.
We've been figuring out what that means for how employers get the most out of Indeed. And that's what I've been bringing to life over the last year.
And so do you have that's agentic AI, right? So do you have that both for candidates and employers?
Yeah, we do. We have a version on the job seeker side of the house.
Right.
We have a version on the employer side of the house. So on the job seeker side of the house, we call it Career Scout.
Career Scout? Okay.
And on the employer side of the house, we call it Talent Scout.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, it's relatively easy to get. I like how people are naming their agents like Greek names and Italian from the Italian Renaissance and stuff like that. See, it's like, or it's a woman's name. It's like,
yeah, that's right. Like Siri. Yeah.
Olivia.
Olivia.
Olivia. It's like, why does it have to be? Couldn't it be Bob?
Some of them have dude names. Harvey AI is a dude name.
Yeah.
So I think you're seeing more genders come in.
Yeah.
I do think I think the right word for this is anthropomorphization, but creation of like a human out of an AI has been an interesting evolution. I think that's largely because it's so chat-based and it's meant to really mimic how we communicate with each other, right?
Right.
It creates a mindset where people think about talking.
Yeah. I think some of the folks that have done like the Einstein or Galileo or those types of like figures in history, I'm kind of waiting for someone to use God.
Oh my gosh.
Just talk to
God. Intense agent.
Yeah, we have an agent. His name's God. Yeah, just talk to him. Yeah.
Talk to him about the meaning of life,
He's everywhere. Don't worry. Yeah, that reminds me of 100 years ago when I started my first company, we named our file server Mecca. Just because it was a great name, it was a great place. We didn't give it any thought. Then I hired an employee, and she was Turkish. She was in sales. She's wonderful, and she goes, "The file servers
are they the center of
everything around here? Could we possibly like Jerusalem? Great." So So we changed the file server name, of course, but that had to be pointed out to us. Mecca, great. Things to do when you're young and stupid. All right, so we've been given a topic to talk about. It's AI and hiring. You know something about this, right?
I do. I have lots of feelings over the past year on AI.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's probably not a daily thing. It's now an hourly thing. It's like, okay, it never goes away. Let's start with the state of AI and hiring so that we can kind of demystify some of it for the audience at least. Like, where do you see us right now with AI and the hiring process or hiring as we used to know it?
Yeah, I think I can't remember the exact statistic, but the vast majority of people, like HR professionals and hiring managers, have started to introduce some kind of AI into the hiring process. But what we found is when you start drilling into that data, it's a whole lot less clear to TA professionals how that data is used and how it influences their outcomes and like, is it worthwhile? And on the hiring manager side, it's even more like mystified, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they're not in it all the time. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't know how ATS screening works, and they don't know how auto apply has impacted the hiring cycle, right? And recruiters know those things, but they don't necessarily connect it really closely with outcomes, right? On the day-to-day.
Right.
Now, if we look at the time to hire metrics, they have not dramatically improved, right?
No.
In the advent of all of these AIs, I would say like it's been interesting because the introduction of AI should theoretically have improved outcomes for us, right? For job seekers and employers.
Faster, higher quality, lower cost.
That's exactly right. Those are the key things, right?
Yeah.
And what we're finding is time to hire is not going down. The black hole is not getting better. And so I think if I think about where AI is in the hiring process right now, there's like a curve for most like companies that get created or products. It's like a J curve, right? And things get worse before they get better. And I think we are coming out of the downward trend. I think AI so far has been introduced into hiring, but infrequently in ways that have not really enabled us to unlock the benefits of it yet, right? So it feels a lot more like people are more shouting into the dark than ever. That's on the job seeker side.
Yep.
And on the employer side, that they're just like inundated, overwhelmed. It's like hard to cut through the noise, both through all the candidates, but also through like, maybe if my job is struggling, I don't even know how to make it better, right? And I think the reason I say we're on the up end of this is as I've been developing Talent Scout over the past year, a big part of our focus has been on how do we get out of this seemingly like arms race of AI on both sides? It's not benefiting anyone, right?
Right. It's almost like it's battling. AI is enabling candidates to apply for more jobs. And it's also which creates noise because those jobs that they're applying for, are they qualified to actually apply for those jobs?
Or are they even interested?
Or even great point.
And so there's this element of, yes, we made it easier than ever to apply to more jobs than ever, but we haven't applied AI in a way that is discerning yet. And that's very much what we've been thinking about in Career Scout and Talent Scout, right? Like, how do we enable these tools not to just do more, but to like cut through noise to do better? Because I think we've been using it for more in the industry writ large, right? It's not getting us where we want to go. And so how do we think about it doing it differently?
And the more is, it's some of that, this is an industry thing, but more has always, the historical part of more. So we had 10,000 candidates that applied for the job. And that was seen as success at one point.
That's right.
That's like, we had 10,000 people that applied for the job. That's amazing. It's like, yeah, but
Is it?
9,980 of them were not qualified. So I think we've had those kind of ego statistics or volume based where it's like, I don't care that there was 10,000. I have to, as a hiring manager or as a talent acquisition leader, I have to care about how many qualified.
That's right.
How many, and when we quality of hire, we can discuss kind of what that looks like or feels like. But I don't care about the top end, how many. I care about how many were actually qualified, interested, etc. in this job. And then if it's 50, that's fantastic.
Yeah, totally. Right. Like
50 people that actually really match and have the insight, they want that job. Like, that they want that job because they know that they applied for that job.
I think you're seeing this like broad trend too in the industry to go from quantity to quality, right? Like
Right.
a decade ago, we were in a world where we had a lot of disparate places where people looked for jobs. And it was
Yeah.
hard to like know that if you put an ad out there in the world that like people would see it and you thought you were missing out on talent because you were.
Yeah.
But aggregation systems have gotten a lot better. Indeed has played a really
Huge role.
cornerstone role in that.
I think y'all were the first to integrate, aggregate, actually.
Yeah, to really focus on one search, all jobs. That was the
Right.
original mission, right? But we've come to a point where like that problem largely feels solved, right?
Right.
And now it's about really getting an understanding of like, do I have the right people, not just the volume of people?
Right.
And so one of the things that we've thought through a lot is like, how do you do that? Right? Like, what's the best way to do that? And I think what we've seen in the application of AI to date is a lot of like after the fact screening and like not discerning applying. And what we want to do is really lean into this concept of really understanding you. If you think about the parallel of dating, like you can be, speed dating or you can be matchmaking.
Right.
And one of them requires a much deeper understanding of what you want.
Right.
And so we want to really lean into that matchmaking concept. And you'll see that philosophically, right? Like Career Scout will ask you questions about what you want to do and what titles are interesting to you, what are your deal breakers? Is it pay? Is it commute? And same thing is true on the Talent Scout side, right? And having both sets of those things enables us to make really strong recommendations.
Life is too short not to work on solving cool problems with interesting people, and recruiting allows us to do both. I'm Brando, host of the Rebel TA podcast, a show where we share stories with people and talent leaders who are on a mission to empower the candidate-employer relationship in the future of work.
So you said something earlier that kind of triggered me in a way about hiring managers not necessarily understanding the technology of which is being used and applied to candidates. And the reason I'm triggered by it in this sense of why should they be caring or why should they care how the technology works?
I don't think they should in most instances, right? Like if you think about the role of a hiring manager, their role is to really think about like the tiny group that's put in front of them by the TA professionals and say like, hey, now that I've got like people that meet the first spidey sense check of my TA group, I want to really evaluate detailed fit for my team, right? And so they shouldn't have to worry about all the upstream like source pipelines and like matching, you know?
I in practice, I think my gut tells me that they don't trust that as much as we think they do, because the slate of candidates that we put in front of them isn't exactly what they wanted, and some of that is because hiring's it's an art project. For hiring managers, we have to remember the hiring managers. They're in general, they have a job. Hiring's it's not even a part-time. It's a hobby that they do. Not a hobby because that's that means it's something that they like, which is not the case.
Almost like the necessity that they have to do to actually do the job they want to do, right?
There's a gun to their head that says you have to hire. Have we trained them? Have we done anything to facilitate them being better at that part of what they have to do when they put a gun to their head? No. And so I can see the friction. Historically there's been that friction of I don't know what I want until I see it.
Yeah.
So then recruiters, both inside and outside, they hand them a slate of 5 candidates, and they're like, "Yeah, none of these. They're all horrible. I want this." And then 5 candidates. No. I want that plus this. Okay. The intake tries
to
to
do that.
narrow that down because of just the historical pain that comes with hiring. But even that's not perfect.
I'm grinning ear to ear because there's this in our very first alpha users, we saw this spike from one user. She was just like accelerating her time to hire dramatically. We
Okay.
interviewed her and we were like, "What are you doing?
I like you.
Scout? How are you using it? What's happening?" And she was like, "Well, it was fun." And so what I did was my hiring manager and we just wanted to see it work because we thought it was interesting. And
Right.
so we calibrated together live. And so there was no back and forth. We just sat there.
I love that.
Used it to like talk to it to say like these things, let's edit it. Let's do these things. Well, maybe we could do these things.
If I owned that company, I would make that mandatory.
Oh my God. And it was this
collaborative process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where you like don't wait to do a slate and then do a search. And because you're not writing Boolean, the recruiter was like, I'm going to do it all in natural language anyway, whatever. Like I don't have to sit there and think about all the keywords you're going to need. We'll just do it right here. And she was like, and it worked so well that's what I do now. I just sit down with my hiring manager and we calibrate in Scout. And once we dial it in, then I know what she wants. She knows what she wants. And we're really feel tightly connected on it because we've seen it in resumes.
We created it together.
And then I just started inviting like crazy, right? Because at that point, I know she's going to like them all. I know.
You just need traffic to go through the filter.
And so I've thought through some of this, right? Like hiring managers frequently don't come into the process. They don't come on to Indeed. But there's a really interesting opportunity where maybe that like synchronous process could happen now because historically I asked this recruiter, like, why didn't you do it before? And she said, it's not fun to have somebody watch over your shoulder while you think about like all the weird keywords that might have to get put into a system to put this like group back or like pour through a bunch of applications. She was like, but this made it so easy that we could do it together.
I think you're onto something. I don't know how you do it as a company, but I think that making it mandatory, like this is how this works. Like you don't work in a silo over here. They don't work in a silo over there to start this process, to actually make it work. You want it to be better, faster, stronger, all that other stuff. You have to do it together.
Yeah, that's right.
And then that will cut the time to hire.
Because to your point, like we've done all this work to like ingest intake notes and all these things, but seeing real candidates is like the best way for people who are not professionals to really dial in what they want, right? Like I even had a conversation with our CEO, Deco, and he said the same thing. Like, I don't know what these keywords are going to result in, or even maybe what these like natural language statements are going to result in. I just want to see it and then react to it because like I know people, not hiring processes.
Right. Which I don't think any hiring manager knows that bit, but they would trust the outputs a hell of a lot more if they had a hand in. Oh no, I don't. They don't need to have a degree. It doesn't matter. Oh, because it's about skills. They have to have these skills or the potentiality of these skills. That's what I care about.
That's right.
That's what I care. Like that. I think you're on to something there.
That you like really, really care about this thing that you were
didn't even think about it.
Maybe a trade-off, but like it's not a trade-off. It's a hard requirement.
Right. We don't have to learn that through time. We can learn that in one collaborative process, which is, it gets to the kind of core of, is hiring an individual sport or a team sport? For me, it's absolutely a team sport.
Yeah.
So why not have the team practice together?
That's right.
If you're volleyball, soccer, whatever, football, how are you ever going to be good if you don't practice together?
Well, and there's so much time lost. Like as a
Right.
hiring manager, I remember getting these slates of 20 people and being
Yep.
like, I'll find time to do that tomorrow, right? And then my recruiters are just waiting, and
Yeah.
they're waiting to get back to applicants and get back to candidates, and it just creates all this inefficiency. And I think these are the instances where it'd be really interesting if we could figure out, like, how do we combine this new technology with a different way of
Right.
doing this work?
100%. And it's a good time for it because we're using different technology. So
Yep.
as we usher in the technology behind the scenes, like they don't need to know how that works. They just need to see that it does work.
Yeah.
So while you're on the back end, all of that is being improved, etc. But we have a nice little moment here where it's like, well, let's usher in a different process.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think there's this, I feel like two ends of the spectrum, particularly in HR. There's the fear of like AI is coming for all our jobs. And there's the opposite side where they're like, all I do is the people game and AI can't come for that. And I'm like, it's in the middle, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
AI can't replace human judgment in the hiring process and
No.
even what TA professionals do, right? Similarly, you're going to be continue to do a lot of work with a lot of toil if you don't
right.
lean in and think about like all the ways that your value could get unlocked if you didn't have to tune Boolean queries or go back and forth on scheduling and rescheduling, or like not realize that your job was in moderation for 4 days, right? Like
Right.
those are the kinds of things I think that we can do really easily with this kind of technology.
Who do you think holds that new process back more? Is it talent acquisition people that are just kind of locked into the way that they've done things, or is it hiring managers?
Oh, they both probably deserve some
Yeah. Okay.
share of like the responsibility. I would say because TA professionals are so rooted in this
Right.
process, right? Most of the change and most of the change management will go to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's just by virtue of how much time they spend doing it, and that they're used to the existing way of doing business,
Right.
you know.
Of course. My fear in that, of course, is that you have a bad process and you're just going to speed up the bad process.
Visionary voices, bold breakthroughs. This is Shally's Alley, where top recruiting minds spill their best-kept secrets live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Raw, unfiltered conversations on sourcing, hiring, and the future of talent, where we ask the tough questions no one else will. Tune in and level up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Or you miss the opportunity to do the new thing that like all of your competitors are doing.
Yeah.
Really,
I used
right?
to use that a lot with folks on the marketing side of things. Like, you don't have to do this. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. I mean, like all of your competitors are, but you don't have to do it. And like placing that thought in their mind that everyone that your competitors that you hire against that are people that are known to you and people that are not known to you, y'all would know more about whose actual competitors that a companies are. But like if they're doing it, if you're not, you're not making talent a a defensible competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like you can create in hiring, you can create a defensible position and competitive advantage. I get to ask this question. You probably get asked this question a lot too. Who's doing it really well? And my pat answer is they would never tell you if they're doing it well. Because if they told you, then you could then mimic what they're doing. So they're not out on the conference circuit. They're not writing books. They're not doing webinars. The people that are actually doing this at the highest level, the best, don't talk.
Well, and I think the quantity game, right? Like
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are
yeah.
known best practices, right?
Yes.
The ones where you're like, I'm going to get 1,000 people through my hiring funnel, right? Like all of those automations are like relatively well known,
Right.
but the quality side of it is such a nascent problem in some ways, right? That I think in a lot of ways, people are still figuring it out.
Yeah.
There is no playbook yet.
No. And what we learned in HR years ago now is that the playbook that works for one company might not work for your company. Like Zappos is a famous example of this from years ago. Uh, I remember Tony coming to a lot of different H. He was on the circuit. He had a book. He went to a lot of HR conferences, including SHRM and HR Tech, stuff like that. And he was teaching kind of the Zappos way. And it worked at Zappos, 100%. But people would read the book and then want to apply what worked at Zappos at their company. It's like, yeah, that's never going to end well. Ever. Because what worked, I mean, you use the dating kind of metaphors. What worked in that instance, it's not going to work in another instance. It shouldn't, actually. It's got to be like a unique fingerprint. Your hiring needs to be unique to your company, maybe even all the way down to your team or your job opening.
Oh gosh, I could not agree more. Like so before I led Talent Scout, I led our smart sourcing product. And I remember having this moment of being in like, I don't know, my 16th first like customer discussion around filters. Filters are very important, right?
Oh yeah, super important.
And I was like, I'm going to create 1 million filters. There's no way to anticipate all these filters. And if I put in these 1 million filters, there's no way that people are going to find them all. And this is what in large part led us to natural language. We were like, you just need to be able to say it. And we now have technology that enables us to use that information. That was not true 5 years ago, but it is true today.
Right. Yeah. And I can see that just getting tighter and tighter and tighter as you go in history, or as we go along. It's just learning more and more. So as it's smart now, it just gets smarter. The more data you throw at it. So every time a search is ran, let's say on Indeed on the back end as an employer, it's just getting smarter. It's just that's the hope at least, and I believe that's also the truth, that in time it's just going to again get to a point where it already assumes what you put in something and it assumes, are you talking about these 5 things? It starts serving up it's based on the data that it already knows. It's just going to keep serving stuff up for you. And again, if you're doing this collaboratively, like I did this bid at an ATS conference right at COVID. So this is February of 20, and it was on job offers. I said, the best way to do a job offer is to open up a Google Doc and do it together as a recruiter. Have a candidate who you've already said yes to, all that stuff. You've already made it through all the gauntlet of they've been through the gauntlet, you've been through the gauntlet, everybody's okay. And just open up a thing, say, okay, what's important to you? And then frame it and then have it go through legal. Done. I can get this to you later today. Because they already know, like, there's no surprise. Because the worst thing you could do in job offers is surprise. You have vision benefits. Like, I don't need any surprises. I got like a wife and shit. I don't need surprises. So everyone, I did the same thing with candidates and recruiters doing this with hiring managers as well. It's like doing this collaboratively. Like don't write a job description, or don't go find a job description. If you created one before, just delete it. And the audience loved me and hate me at the same time because I was basically telling them all their stuff that they were doing was stupid. So Like, why are you going into Google, or why are you going into a job board, or why are you going into your file server and finding a job that was created for something, even if it was created for that job? Don't do that. Just get on with the hiring manager. Go, okay, what do you think?
So
You've got that better. Like, I it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever it is now, but like, you basically, Indeed has made that better, where the technology underneath that could serve up all the things that are associated with that. And it just gets smart. It's like, no, I don't, they don't need to have worked in NASA. Don't need that one. Like, whatever the bit is, it's like, no, they don't need that. But that one, to your point earlier, that one, they have to have that. They've got to have an aerospace doctorate, whatever. They've got to have that.
This is where, like, I think AI can be used in ways that dramatically improve the world for job seekers and employers, or it can be used in ways that, like, stoke our worst imaginations.
This dystopian movie is.
No, exactly. Yeah. Like, my prototypical example of, like, what's the worst thing that could happen in hiring? I'm like, Westworld season 3, where, like, a computer determines our potential and our, like, livelihoods, and nobody wants that, right? But one of the things that we were really thoughtful about, and I think are going to need to continue to be very thoughtful about, is there's all the stereotypical things that you do when you do responsible AI, right? You need to think about the analysis you do on disparate treatment and disparate impact. But I actually think the, like, real real unlock here is in reframing how we think about finding talent. And a lot of it for us, like, we very intentionally use the word discovery, because the process assumes that there's not an ascribed good or bad. Like, you're out here to discover people that could be great for this job. And so, like, one of the things that we do in this back and forth conversation with you is, if we find that you're giving us really vague statements, like leadership.
Are you with us? Come on now. Where are you at?
Or, like, when you say leadership, do you mean manager of managers, or do you mean a book of business size, or, like, a strategic planning cycle, right? Like, there's so many ways that leadership can be interpreted, and we know that leads to failure modes. We can get ahead of that. Similarly, if we see you doing things like, and this is a real example from, like, a sales role, doing a gigantic search string that looks like football or volleyball or soccer or and I've seen these, we'll ask you, like, what are you trying to get at? And usually what you hear is, like, I'm hiring an entry-level sales rep. I want somebody who's exhibited the ability to compete.
Right.
I want somebody competitive. And you're like, great. Because you could also look at student body government, where those people love to win. It's by definition a winning or losing
debate
process.
Club. Yeah.
Debate club, right? All of those things are ways in which we can really rethink, like, can we showcase different kinds of talent that you would not have thought about had you used that Boolean that you've got stored in that spreadsheet that you've used 40 times before? Can we broaden your talent pool by showing you totally new people, right? And we saw this in our alpha. People, like, I remember this, they were hiring behavioral therapists, and they look in clinical settings for those behavioral therapists. So they've got their Boolean queries where they've put a bunch of institutions in that they know hire these people. And Talent Scout came back and started serving up a lot of people in education.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, these people have the right background. They're eminently patient, right? They, like, exhibit a lot of the same traits, and it dramatically increased their time to hire because they found a totally new pool of people that they would have never seen otherwise. And I think this is where AI can reinforce our worst biases if we use it incorrectly. But if we lean into thinking about it differently as designers of an AI system, it can open us up to talent that we would have otherwise never considered or thought about. And I think everyone has that story where they hire this unexpected person and it turns out to be like the best member of their team. And we want to create those opportunities.
Yeah. That begets a question about, do employers look at hiring in terms of screening in or screening out?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what's philosophically, are they just kind of trying to start with a big number and like weed out everybody that for whatever reason they don't want to take forward in a process? Are they screening in? Are they looking for those opportunities? I remember talking to an Australian firm this is years ago, and they're like, we don't have any conditions. We, on all of our jobs, we interview everyone.
Wow.
And I'm like, tell me a little bit about that. And what they were doing is they were using an early version of machine learning as a way of saying, hey, we want everyone to have the shot. And some of that came down to the skills of the position. And so they broke it down instead of the kind of historical things that you would look like in a resume. They're like, oh, we don't care about any of that. What are your skills? What are your skills now? And what are the skills that you want to build? And do you have those skills? And then there was skills testing.
Yeah.
And so, but everyone had a shot. Didn't matter. They didn't care if you're 18 or 80. They didn't care about either. Do you have these skills? And are they at this level? And if you don't, do you have the potential to have those skills? And so it was cool because they screened in the sense of, no, you either have the skills or you don't. There's no way to, I mean, they would do things like they would but they would monitor like keystrokes, and if you have other browsers open, like you couldn't cheat it. And so you either had the skills or you didn't. So they put a lot of stuff on the back end to make sure that you couldn't, cheat your way through that part of it. So you had the skills, and then they did some of the traditional stuff after that. It's like this group of people we know they have the skills. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you take it forward in the process.
I love that concept of screening in, right? Like it's the first time I've heard it phrased like that, and it really resonates. Because I think you have a lot of roles where like you're going to train people up on exactly what you want them to do, but you want underlying relatively generalist skills. Like you want problem solving.
Right.
You
Adaptability.
Want creativity, right? And that is really hard to ascertain just in somebody's resume. Even in like an interview, that can be difficult, right?
It's the stuff that's behind the resume. It's like when after ChatGPT launched, a lot of the early prompt engineering positions were filled with humanities majors.
Yeah.
Art history, English, philosophy, like all of the stuff that you wouldn't think. You'd think it'd be technology. They wanted people that could think and write.
And write. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So I don't know where it is, the status of where that is now, but I do know that the current thought, because of AI, a lot of people look at the internet and the birth of the internet as a way of looking at AI in a sense of a small cluster of people got good at it, and then it got to a point of almost mass, and then all of a sudden people then can't imagine life without it. But that was a 30-year curve, right? This isn't going to be a 30-year curve.
No.
So I see hiring managers like, I need people that are adaptable, flexible, pliable. I just need them smart and know that their job's going to change about every 7 months.
Yeah.
And so whatever the title of the thing that we hired you for we're going to blink. You'll be here 3 years and you'll have 5 jobs.
I think this will be a really interesting evolution and this is outside of hiring. This is like when people are in seat, right? But like the organizational evolution on like, how do you get your team members to embrace a different way of working? a different way to leverage
Right.
tools.
Talent,
And
different talents, different
different
types of
talents,
talent.
and at a rate that I think is, just unprecedented.
I think we get to this probably sounds dystopian, but it's not. You get to a place where you show up that day and it's like, okay, what, where do you need me?
Yeah.
Like, and then your skills are moved to a place, not just by that department for that manager, etc. It's just like their skills are needed here, and it's just applied that way. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just, it struck this thought where, like, I think about what AI enables us to do just as people, right? And AI is not inherently creative.
Right.
For example, right? Like it cannot imagine things that are completely novel.
Right.
Because it's trained on the past.
Right.
And that's even true with generative AI, which looks like it's creating novel things, but it's pulling from many, many things that exist, right? And so I think about, like, what does this allow us to do as people? And this is true in TA, just as true in TA as it is in my job. And it's, what are the rote tasks that, like, I just have to do in order to move past, like, a series of gates so that I can actually use the, like, higher level thought to think about strategy and like markets, and how do I, like, enable my job, or enable, like, to myself to build products, or TA professionals to, like, enable their companies to hire in ways that are different. And my hope would be that we enable AI to do the things that, like, the easiest, 50%, maybe more, maybe less, who's to say, of our brain, we farm that out. And then
that's the boring stuff anyhow.
Exactly. And then you free your mind up for the things that are actually complicated and require real creativity and real complex thinking. And we just don't tend to have a lot of that space for that in our day.
And also painful said, we don't have a lot of those people as much as we think. There's a bell curve, right? So, and it's not just IQ, but it's just people that they like their routine a certain way, and they apply themselves in a certain way. They're confident, they're competent in that thing. Getting them to think, they can't imagine a world where that's the bit. Like you're here to think, and to think beyond where we're at now, not to do. Like I was explaining this to my sons a couple of years ago. It's like my father first go to college in his family, our family. He worked with his hands. I mean, he had a degree, but he was still kind of the mentality he could get it done. If he needed to, he'd do it with his hands. You got to paint the house. Well, all right, let's go paint the house. I've made my living with my mind, and so like I know how to hang a door. I'll never hang a door because there's a person out there that knows that better than me, and that the time wasted, in my opinion, of hanging a door, I could have been doing other things. So mowing the lawn, that's 3 hours. My 3 hours, I got to be using it for something else. And it sounds a little elitist when I say it out loud like that, but it's like, why would I clean the pool? Why ever? Like, why would I ever do? I've never cleaned our pool. I've lived in this house for 25 years. I don't even know where pool supplies are. I could care less. I know that in the summer, it gets to a point where it's a saltwater pool. At some point, I'll want to go swimming, and I can go swimming. That's the future of AI for, I think, a certain part of the workforce. I don't know what happens with the other part of the workforce that likes mowing the lawn.
I think about all of these industrial revolutions in some way have had these impacts in the past, right?
Yep.
It's interesting because this is the first time that it's really hit the white collar segment so hard.
That's right. That's right.
Right? So like if we think about the automation revolutions that came before us in the the turn of the previous century, most of those have really impacted blue collar segments. And this is the first time that the reckoning has come to us.
Yep.
And I think like all big revolutionary changes, people will be required to change with it. And we are extremely adaptable. I think the real question for us here is the rate of this change is just so fundamentally different.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be the challenge in front of us and the like probably the generation behind and above us is how adaptable can we be, right?
You got to want it. I mean, that's to me, you've got to desire that unsettling feeling of being unsettled.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
just like that, again, gone are the days, and you've gone are the days where you stay at a company for 30 years. Okay, that's a long time ago. That was in the 70s. It's when the free agency of sports happened, and managers and players, difference between ownership and players. When that was broken, that covenant was broken. There's no such thing as safety. Like I love having discussions with people where they're like, it's safer to work at a large company. I'm like, there's no such thing as safety. Heidi, we could talk for hours. So at one point, we're going to have to end the podcast. So thank you so much. So thank you so much for, carving out time. I know you're busy and coming on the podcast and helping our audience kind of understand what you're doing, but also largely what's kind of happening in the market.
Absolutely. Anytime. This is my passion. I have really enjoyed it. But I think it's also really important for us to get it right. Really important for other people to think through the implications of it.
100%.
So thank you for having me.